All
Cat.
right. Welcome, everyone. This is the brand new Flourish in the Foreign Catching Up with series. Yes, it is a series where we get to catch up with our past podcast guests, see what they're up to since the last time I've chatted with them. If you have any questions, this is the perfect time to ask them, to get to know them even more. And today, our very first guest is Cinnamon, aka Driven Spice. Y'all know her from YouTube. And I'm super excited to catch up with her about her life in Lisbon, Portugal. Because when we were talking first, I guess when we recorded, it was like fall of 2020. And so right now, for context, it's January 2022. So a lot of things have probably happened. A lot of things have occurred. Can't wait to chat with you. So, Cinnamon, how are you?
I'm great, honey. How are you?
I'm making it. I'm
Listen,
making
no,
it.
you're doing more than making it, honey. You out there with the sun glistening on your skin. You up here looking pretty and voluminous. Okay. So you are doing very well. Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to get out here and do the thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to provide an amazing platform for Black women, and I'm trying to be the best businesswoman I can be. Taking after you because you have been in this digital game and space for a while. So I'm trying to get like you, basically.
You're so funny. Okay.
So let's talk about, when we last talked, when we really actually first connected was in the summertime of 2020. And it
Okay.
was such an interesting period because when we first had a conversation, you were telling me about how you ended up, moving to Portugal, how you had to get residency and all those things figured out, how you got stuck in the pandemic and then how to work that out. And then finally, when we talked in October, I think, of last year, you were just then kind of settling in, I think. Is that right?
That sounds good.
Okay.
My life is a blur between these. I just ride with it. You know what I mean? I show up and wake up and see what happens. So sure, that sounds perfect.
So my first, like, I want to know, how does it feel that, like, first year being settled? You're not necessarily, I mean, bureaucracy is just continuous,
Right.
especially here in Southern Europe. It just always feels like it's another paper, it's another thing, it's another list, another appointment. But how has it felt for you actually being settled and being like, I live here, this is my community?
I think now you can finally calm down. I think the first year, so this will be my third year next October as a resident. And so the first year before you get your residency, you're really just on your serious immigration life. Like you're trying to get the apartment, you're trying to get everything that the immigration office wants to see in order for you to keep your residency. So, and you still, in my opinion, still have some of the issues of like the foreign tax, where you're still doing things super expensive just because you don't have the knowledge and the education. And so, after not having to deal with, immigration, at least say, for 3 years, now it's like, okay, so now I can enjoy the country. Now I can go see some of the touristy things or see other parts of the country, or figure out what my daily routine is. Sometimes on the weekends, you go to the grocery store, you go here, you go there, and kind of creating those types of routines and finding out the best way to, do transport and lessening my expenses even more because now I know like what grocery store to go to or, different Metro cards you can get, which I just didn't know before. So now it's feeling more like my home now than maybe in years prior.
Yeah. I always like to also chat about something that I think everyone experiences, though I don't feel like a lot of people want to admit to it, which is the feelings of homesickness, isolation, maybe even self doubt in your choice. Did you
Mm-hmm.
experience any of those kinds of emotions?
Yes. So a variety of different aspects with that. I would say the homesickness never goes away for me. I don't have the tightest family, but I've strategically picked my friends, and so they are my family. And uh, you underestimate, I had this conversation the other day of like, when you come to another country or you meet other people, like they're new friends, you know what I mean? So you have to respect their boundaries or even learn what those boundaries are. But like, people I've known for 20 years, I'll pop up at your house and I dare you to tell me to leave. Like, that's what we're going to do today. You know what I mean? And so when you are feeling lonely or you are feeling isolated, what I have noticed just about women who move abroad in general, we're wired a bit differently, and so we are used to, particularly women of color, we're used to doing everything ourselves. And so I feel like there's an overpopulation of women abroad who are overly independent. And so if they need something, they don't say anything because they feel like, well, these people don't know me. I mean, I don't want to bother anybody. But yeah, everyone is so giving. So we're like, yo, you've been depressed for like 4 months. Like, why you ain't tell nobody? So it's just that newness is hard, and it's a whole pandemic. And you still miss your people, and that hasn't changed. I still feel not homesick. I feel friend sick. Like I feel like I miss, my friends, and I just want to hug their face and give them love. And even the friends here, but still understanding what those boundaries are on new relationships is a new space for me because my friends back home I've known, for 20, 25 years. I'm an introvert. So meeting new people is like, what? So I would say you deal with it and you communicate with your community to let them know like, yeah, I've been, really depressed lately. And they were like, wait, what? Like what? You know what I mean? And so you just got to share how you feel, even though it may feel super awkward, particularly with people that, maybe you've only known for 3 months to 6 months. But just trust that, the universe is going to bring you a community that is going to support you and be there for you. You just have to be open.
I'm so glad that you said that. I think it is so important for people to be so transparent about their feelings. And I completely agree. I think as Black women, women of color, we're just like, I got it. I got it. I got it. Even though you're like, I don't get it. I'm scared to go outside because I don't speak the language and I'm just tired of people being like, what do you say? All the stuff that comes with living
Yeah.
abroad. And we don't want to admit that, like, that's what we're going through. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that because everyone watching in the replay, please lean on people, like
Mhm.
talk to people. It is so important. The whole Flourish No Foreign brand and platform is rooted in wellness.
Yeah.
A lot of us are going abroad to really fully experience wellness, perhaps in a way we have never experienced. And no, it's not going to be rainbows and skipping down the lane as soon as you get off the plane. Okay, because it takes time. We have to cultivate. We have to be committed to our wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we don't have to do it alone, and we don't have to be depressed and sad and all these other things alone for sure. And so that leads me to ask, how have you been able to manage and care for your own mental wellness abroad? Have you sought therapy? Have you sought friend groups? Any other kind of practices that help to keep you fortified?
So therapy is on the to-do list for 2022, just for a variety of host of reasons, not just that I need that, but I definitely have created a really good community of women that are a lot like myself, fellow introverts, driven, and that helps significantly. But what I didn't want to do, which I will admit I suffered from when I first got here, is bring my overwork, no work balance life to a different country. I'm still self-proclaimed. I'm still a workaholic. And actually, one of my friends who's from Europe, she's helped me, like, come out of my shell, because in the European culture, you are not dedicated to your job. Like, you get off. You're off minimum of 20 days, even if you're working at McDonald's. You know what I mean? So the European culture is I love it for that reason. But if you've been doing this forever, like how to disconnect is a challenge. And I remember one like random Wednesday, she was like, you want to go to the beach? And I was like, but it's Wednesday. Like, I'm like, so we just gonna go to a beach? And she's like, yeah, I get off at 3. And I'm like, in the afternoon, we're gonna go to a beach at 3 on a Wednesday? And I was like, shut up, Sin, just ride with it. And I was like, okay. So we took a bus that took an hour. And so we got there at 4, and it was all these families just out at the beach on a Wednesday. And I'm like, what is happening here? And I was like, I got to get my life together. So during the summer, I'm a lot better with it, with a push. But I'm still trying to make the effort. They're like, okay, every, whatever day, let's just have a dinner party. Let's eat. Let's do this. Because my whole goal for moving abroad was to say that I am able to enjoy these moments. So why am I working so hard? So yeah, I need to lay on the couch for that issue among a bunch of other ones. So did I answer your question?
You did. I highly recommend therapy. I just got a new therapist. It has been, I'm not going to say a great experience because, you're dealing with stuff that you have compartmentalized and you've
Right.
been a highly functional, for lack of a better term for me, crazy
Extremely
person.
functional. Yeah.
You're just like, oh, it's fine, but you have to really deal with it. And it's all this interconnected stuff. I totally relate with what you had to say because when I first moved to Spain, I was like, oh yeah, Vito on the terrace and stuff like that. But then I was like, all right, so then what else are we gonna do? Like, what else is happening? Like, and you just take that with you. This feeling of productivity all the time. This feeling of guilt for not working or comparisons because a lot of my friends in the States are lawyers, so they just work crazy. So it'd be like, oh, they're all working and I'm just drinking some wine,
That's a great thing. Like, celebrate that.
And it's like, but having to remember, I made this choice. We are all making choices in our life. I made this choice for a reason for myself. And I have to surrender to this experience. Moving places, being in a different geographic location isn't the transformation. It gives us the space and perhaps the resources to become that next iteration of ourselves. But we got to do that work. And it has been hard.
I think that's the part that people don't talk about often in regards to the move abroad. They're like, oh, you move abroad. And then that whole, okay, so now you here to, what do you do and how do you feel in that space? And I think couple things for the other fellow introverts that are out there. I've had even some people on my channel say, I don't need a community, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, girl. And I'm an introvert. I'm solely like, you know what I mean? But the thing is, like, not only just for, mental health space of me needing to connect with other people, but also you over here by yourself. If something happens to you and you didn't plan accordingly, like I have at least 4 friends that had surgery within the past 2 years in this country. And we come and we hug and we like, what you need? You know what I'm saying? So as much as people feel like they can be an introvert, and with a lot of the trauma that we have, in our culture and our family, you may be exhausted and you may say, I don't need the community. But in the process of you attempting to heal, community is going to be important. So, and learn how to be a good contributor to a community. You know what I mean? Like, don't just go asking for things. And I feel like people lose that part because sometimes, we're 20, we're 40, we're 30. We don't know how to make friends as grown people. You know what I mean? Grown people friendship, figuring that out. I mean, it's a challenge again with the boundaries and everything like that. So, you just got to go in with an open heart and just really kind of release it and just be fully transparent. If you can't be transparent now and you done left a whole country, like when the hell can you ever be transparent? Like you just gonna rock that to your grave? Like you're just gonna be living like this? Like it doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
I agree because you could be a whole different person. You could be I won't say you're a whole different person because that could lead to scamming and there's a whole other conversation on that. But you can be your full self abroad. You don't have anybody who's like, I know you since you're 5 and you're a little, you're stink and that's it. And you're like, no, I'm grown. Like I'm not stink anymore. You can be your whole self. And I think I also agree with you with community. I'm an introvert too. And we work for ourselves. We work on the computer. We don't gotta see people. Like if we don't want to see people, you don't gotta see
Awesome.
people. and and having to say, I'm gonna go out and I'm going to try to make connections, not just to go out, which I tell
Mm-hmm.
people all the time. They're like, how do you make friends? I'm like, go pursue things that you're interested in,
Yeah.
and then you'll meet other people who you probably have things in common with,
Mm-hmm.
or at least at the very least you've actually just done something that you like to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's so interesting. People, come into a new country, they might join the WhatsApp group and they're just like, hey everyone, I'm here, take me. Like, and you're like, what? Like, show me around. And you're like, I'm not a tour guide,
And
you
I'm
know.
working. I am working. That is the biggest thing. People will come and love y'all all if you're listening and you send me messages. Hey, I'll be in Portugal next week. Can we? No, probably not. I'm working.
That's
No.
that's the
And I don't
thing.
know you.
And
Like,
that's the thing. And it's all love. It's all love. People, when they
definitely
come
all love
through
of that.
Barcelona, they're like, can we get coffee? Can I get you coffee? Things like that. It's very kind. I've been hopping between cities in Spain, so I'm usually not where I'm supposed to be. So, but it's also like I am an introvert like you, so I'm like, I don't know. And also, we're working. Like we're not on
Right.
vacation.
I think that's the
Um,
part that people forget is that, and then because when you're in the States, like even for me, I had to schedule my friendships. Like I had to schedule when we gonna do, like 2-3 months out. And so when people come here on vacation, they feel like I'm like, oh honey, I'm working. Like I can't pull that off. And you might be crazy. And so here's the thing that for anyone who's working on building their audience and on the online space, just to digress just a little bit, respect your small audiences. And I say that to say that you're in a situation where you can communicate directly with them. You can send them a DM, they can communicate with you. You can easily send a voice chat. You can get so much information on what your ideal client will need by just communicating with your audience. Because once your numbers grow, people get crazy. Like they get weird. Damn it, they get weird. Not all, but listen, people are out here weird. So,
Seven.
so respect your small audience because at this point, if you build your structure, your foundation, how do you want your experience to be? How you want your client to experience you? And you build that with your small audience, ask them what they need. Then as you scale, because everybody wants, oh, I want thousands of visitors and followers. And it's like, you haven't even built your overall foundation that if you got this influx and you offer a product, everything is broken and dumb. And now you got to deal with customer service issues because you just didn't set yourself up right. So please, 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 please respect your small audiences, take care of them, communicate with them because they're not following you because you have large numbers. They're following you because they actually like the message that you're giving. And so you are supposed to reward them by giving them what you're saying you want to give them. Talk to them. You're not like you got time to send a DM or a voice note and check in. And that was random, just felt like that.
No, you know what? It's actually perfect segue. It's a perfect segue because I do want to talk about.
Is everybody frozen? We're all there good. That's what you get for being out here in the sun, being all great and glamorous, and now you're okay. You're back. Okay, you're back. I was like, well,
Okay.
we gonna go into our own little chat. Like,
And y'all could do it.
it's
I'm
all good. It's
sorry.
all good. We'll wait to the end, but we let's stay focused because I'm like squirrel. It don't take much to get me distracted.
I just wanted to say that I've interviewed several YouTubers, and they have talked to me about the beast of YouTube. Like it brings in amazing, obviously, like audience. If you can manage it, you can bring in and build in an amazing email list, but also like a lot of weird stuff. And I think you are so correct when people discount having a smaller audience. I have a small audience. I have a loyal audience
Mm-hmm.
and I have a cool audience. I love everybody in my audience, everybody in the community, even the people I'm sorry I can't meet up with you for coffee, stuff like that. It's just
Right.
boundary. Maybe I'll have an event. I don't know. One of these
Mm-hmm.
days, maybe I'll have an event.
Mm-hmm.
But I completely agree. It's allowed me to build my business in an intentional way. It's allowed me
Mm-hmm.
to test different aspects, different
Mm-hmm.
products, different variations of products in a really intimate space where I get a lot of great feedback. And
Yes.
I mean, I guess every time you launch something, you have a fear of failure, but I'm also kind of like, these are all my friends. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
people are like, you're sucking it up and you
Right.
need to like,
Right.
get off the internet. It
Right.
feels very comfortable. And so actually the segue is I have launched a Build a Business Abroad group coaching program. Actually, Kintia, who's on the call, was part of the first cohort, and so she's building her business. So I think that is so important to talk about. Is a lot of people want to go abroad and have a business. Um, one, because they can't get a job, and I'm like, don't do that, don't do that, because there's so many jobs you could have. Like building a business isn't like, oh, I can't find a job, let's build a business. Like, no, wouldn't recommend that. But also, a lot of people are flinging themselves into this travel expat space. I think just because they are an expat, which is fine, you can create whatever content you want to create. But I wonder if you could speak to like the intentionality, right? I think a lot of people have to figure out, is this a hobby? Is this a business? Businesses make money. Like, what's the point of
Right.
this?
So interestingly enough, so when I talk to people about it, because I would get messages from folks, and if anyone's watching this and I haven't, just bear with me, give me grace because it's crazy out here. But you have to understand what your skill set is and who the audience you want to serve. So I just taught a class maybe 2 weeks ago that was your first 1K. And so this was basically teaching people, it was just a 90-minute workshop on focusing on your first 1,000, because a lot of people think what business is in theory and then they don't understand how it works in practice. So I'm just saying, if you get 50 people to pay you $20, that's your first 1,000. The question is, what do you already have inside you, your know-how, your experience? Because what I've seen some people do is, oh, they're here drop shipping, you can make money, or they're here trading. I don't know how many people contact me about trading. They'll hear about, this and that. And it's just like, but you don't know how to do these things. So in theory, yes, they do make money. In theory, so does a doctor. Are you running out to go to med school? Like, so you got to understand that there's theory and there's actual practice. And that's why I always encourage people, not necessarily, I mean, if you know what you're passionate about, because I still haven't found mine, but if you know what you're passionate about, okay, yeah, rock with that. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you know how to do something, you can have corporate clients and still do what you already know how to do. You just do it digitally. I mean, COVID, if anything, if it hasn't shown you that, it shows you that you can literally work, other than like building a house, that you can do most of your soft skills virtually, but just really figuring out what that plan is. And I feel like people, again, in theory, say they want to start a business, but what that means is that you need to put what your product is, who your audience is, and the systems in place in order to deliver that well, and figuring out what that looks like. I understand maybe because of social media and people think that they're going to be this expat and they're going to get deals from vacation hotels and things like that. Okay, you still got to see what that process is. What is that process? And is it going to be consistent? You may not get any deals or any sponsorships for 4 to 5 months. COVID affected a lot of people. So don't come out here in these streets and don't have any skills. Like, you may be one skill away from having a life you want digitally, but you may have to either learn some things or put some practice in place. But 100% of the time, you need to build your audience. Even if you're a corporation, people got to know about you. So building your audience is going to be the most important thing. Even if you want to do drop shipping, if don't nobody know about you, why does it matter? If you want to launch a course, if don't nobody know about you, you ain't gonna make no money. Workshop, with all these various ways to make money, none of it matters if nobody knows you exist. So in theory, as you're saying, oh, I'm going to be a vlog, whatever you're saying, if you vlogging and ain't nobody watching, you're not making no money, and you move to a whole ass country. So that you may not be able to speak the language, or that you may not know how to get a job. So do not set yourself up like that. Before you leave, you can always create these relationships and the information that you want to do before you leave. You can create the systems, but like get software. It's so interesting how I hear people say, oh, I don't want to pay for this software. It's $100 a month. But you'll pay a virtual assistant to not do nothing for you for what, $15 an hour for 20 hours a week? That don't even make sense. You can automate your whole life if you incorporate the right software to make sure that you're giving your customer a good experience. And so figure out what that is, but don't come out here in these streets and you haven't done that, because it's the whole vlogger travel person thing is not sustainable. Well, I don't think it is. I know some people are probably, making it work, and they've probably been in the game for a long time, but understand, as the way algorithms work, newer audiences, it's going to take a while to build it, just because of the competition. Like if you were the first person on Instagram or the first person on YouTube or the first person here, TikTok, whatever, it's easier for you to get the audience on the way that the algorithm, because the algorithm just goes free fall when something just first comes out. But then they hone it in to kind of create a better user experience for their users. And that means, okay, I see they watch this content. Let's give them more of this content. And they do a whole bunch of various things because now they learn the audience. So when you look at things, put things in perspective for newer audiences. And, I always preach this, Christine, go to something Google based, go to something search engine based, because it's easier to build the audience because of search. If you're in your Instagrams, in your Facebooks, we know how Facebook do. They're going to limit your audience because they want more money. They want you to pay for ads. And that is the reason why you've been seeing these random people just putting random ads on their Instagram. Like, what do you do? No, like, you know what I mean? But that's why you've been seeing that, because people are getting no reach, because it is an intranet, So as you build your audience, consider ways and platforms in which if someone's searching for it, it shows up. I know there's a huge push for podcasts, but like you're doing, you want to act a search engine based to it, because when you search for something, when the last time a podcast episode came up? Never, ever. Nope. Unless they had a blog or YouTube associated with it, and that was able to get crawled by spiders, and then they were able to show up. But if someone just had a blog and nope, especially with everybody having them now. So just make your marketing work for you, but understand SEO search is still going to be important.
Oh my goodness. You said a word. I hope y'all are paying attention. I hope y'all are paying attention, because this is so vital. Like you said, everybody and their mom is starting a YouTube channel. Everybody and their mom starting a podcast. And it's cool. Like podcasting is a lot of work. One, I don't think a lot of people recognize how much work it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of free labor. This is a part of, personally, this is part of my business model. So this is an expense that has to be taken into account. It has to pay off. There has to be a return, so people have to think about that as well. How are you positioning your podcast? How are you positioning your content to really drive traffic, to drive clients into your funnel, to actually convert?
Right.
That is really important to think about. I mean, I'm always iterating how I'm doing different things. I'm changing my website, and it's going to be so much more richer. I'm really going after this SEO. I have already the content, I already have the transcripts, we're flipping it, we're doing all this stuff so that it can be more robust.
Mm-hmm.
I think people got to really understand it's work. I don't know. I think there's been too many Instagram pictures of people with laptops in a hammock or something. Like,
and some of them people are broke. Like, let's be real. Like, just because somebody put your picture don't mean that they up there thriving in those countries, honey. I've seen some things. So listen, you make 2022 the year that you pick up a new skill. Like, you should just want to do that anyway. Just pick up a new skill, whatever it is. If it's editing, if it, like for me with COVID, like now this whole virtual event thing, this is like lovely. Like now I offer it to my corporate clients. It would have been a skill that I would not have had if it wasn't for a whole pandemic, And as an introvert, I'm like, yes, this is dope. So now I can offer it to my corporate clients because they're struggling. So when you see an issue and now you can put, now I can charge a ridiculous amount, because people, before, companies were paying what, 50, 60, $100,000 to go to a hotel to do a conference and have all this stuff. Now, like, oh, it's great times now. It's great.
It's great, great times. Okay, I have more questions, but I want to
Sure.
bring in Kintia. Do you have any questions that you want to drop in? Because I have not even allowed you to talk, and I'm sorry about that.
No, this is good. I'm getting great information.
Good, good, good.
Okay,
Um,
cool. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to ask about, I guess, going back to the 1,000 followers. Unfortunately, I missed the advertisement for that workshop. So, so um, with, I guess with the focus on that, like when you're just starting out, because for example, for me, I'm just starting out with my YouTube channel. So how would you suggest, when you really don't have that many followers, like I think I have like 40 now. How do you gauge what should I put out there? What content should I do to keep drawing people or to try to grow that audience?
Okay, so good question. Understand whether you're on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, you're on rented space. So if you're creating this content or you're creating a YouTube, a new YouTube channel, you want to do some search-based stuff as well. So you can literally go to Google, type in your industry, and Google will auto tell you what people have been typing. So that can give you a little bit of an understanding as to what people, based on facts that Google has, what people are searching for in your industry. So you can start out there kind of creating some videos with those keywords in the title so that now you can start to get this audience. But the most important thing that you need, more important than actually a website, is the email marketing software. That is going to be the most important thing, because in that you can either give a resource or and have them download it. But this is going to be your direct communication back and forth with your customer. Nothing else is really going to give you that. Instagram, not, I mean, you could DM maybe, but if Instagram take you down, you short. Like, you really need that email list. But not only do you need the email list, so the software that I use is ActiveCampaign for email. Not all email marketing software is great. So you want something that has some automation. Like, so a lot of times if someone goes through a funnel, they'll say, oh my God, I feel like I know you. And it's like, well, that was intentional because of the software. So you want to make sure that if they're tagged a certain way, these series of things happen. Or if you can see your customer journey based on the things that they have signed up to, and then you can know what they're interested in. But ultimately, with a small audience, ask them. Communicate with them. Ask them, what type of information do you need? If you are in a particular service, there's some things that you may have frequently asked questions based on your industry. And then you may have a series of things that people should be asking you based on your industry. So for example, if you're a cosmetic dentist, and let's say someone wants to get veneers, there's probably some frequently asked questions someone who wants veneers ask. And there's some questions that people should ask, but you are the professional, so you know they should ask that and they don't know that. Okay. So these types of content are things that are informative to your customer, and then you end up teaching them something. But start putting out those type of content in your industry. And I feel like that's kind of what people struggle. It's the content, because they forget you want to make sure that someone walks away from you and they got value. And so when I show up anywhere, I'm going to make sure that you're a little bit smarter than you were when you came here. That is, no matter where I am, that's what I'm going to do. Now, only I can do that for my industry. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that if you telling me you want to be like, I don't know, an astronaut. I got nothing. So give that same energy to the people who are coming to you. They're coming to you for a reason. Communicate with them. But the full disclosure, ActiveCampaign is not the most user friendly. Okay. And I am going to end up doing a workshop next month specifically on ActiveCampaign, because it can take probably about 4 to 5 people out of your business if you automate it correctly. So you can automate your sales and marketing. You can automate your regular correspondence with people, and you can create the community. Because people will email me back and it was like, yeah, girl, and I'm like, what is she replying back to? Because I'm like, and I forgot this automation was, created and done. And I'm like, oh, that's the email that she's referring to. Cause she was like, yeah, I'm like, okay. So, and then this can be something that's no more than like $15, depending on your audience, to like $70 a month, but it replaces 3 people. You know what I mean? So, and there's various software that will replace a person forever. You know what I mean? Like there's software like Thinkific. There's various learning software that will put your learning platforms together. They host a video, they do all of that. And so all you need to do is connect your email marketing software with your learning portal so that every time they're going forward in the class, they could email, how's it going? How you feel? Now, you can't do that as one person if you never put those automations together. You can't take care of your customer the way you're supposed to if you never put the technology together. And I don't know what it is with us people who just don't want to embrace technology to run their business. You will hire a VA, which is cool. I'm here for the VAs, but sometimes tech is going to make this seamless and flawless every time. You can make sure your customer has the same experience every time. So why are we bitching about an extra $200 in weight total you may need to run a whole business, you know? So again, I don't remember what the question was. Did I answer the question? Okay, good. Okay, good. All right.
No, I think that's super, super excellent. I think an issue that a lot of people who come into, the online business space is that they get a lot of free and really great information from YouTube, whatever, and they get exposed to, the free plans of ConvertKit or whatever. And they just think like, well, I should be able to run my business on all free plans forever. And honestly, no. Maybe like when you're first like understanding what this does and you're like, okay, maybe you're testing out, do I like this? Do I like that? What does this actually do? Am I utilizing this resource to the full extent? But at some point, you actually do want to pay. You want the full capabilities. You want support. You want your business to grow. You want to have more ease, like you said, automation systems. And VAs, I'm actually in the process of interviewing VAs right now. It's a big trust issue thing. I'm doing that because I have a new website I'm launching. So I have a lot of content that needs to be transferred. And I don't want to do that. And I'm tired. I'm like, and I have transcripts that need to be lightly edited, and I don't want to do that, and I'm tired. But that's a lot of energy to trust somebody to come into your business, do things that to your exacting standards on the timeline that you're wanting it, everything like that. It's a lot of energy. So before you even get to that point, to really implement all the automation that you can just makes sense. If you have trust issues like me,
it just makes and it helps whoever you hire later do a good job. Like some of the marketing, sales, automation, why not just make that consistent and have a software deal and have a person actually deal with the creative things that software can't do, by writing a good marketing message, by communicating with your, the people things. But the things that can be systemized and executed the same way, go get some software. Like it fascinates me how many people who want clients are still paying for free calendar software. Like pay for it. It's like $14.
No.
Go ahead and pay for it. You know how much time it saves that you won't go back and forth with email with people when they're setting an appointment, and then it will automatically create a Zoom or Google Meet or whatever link that all they had to do was push a button and you ain't have to do nothing. It checks your calendar for you. Come on, yes. $14 a month if you don't stop playing games.
Come on.
And it accepts payment.
Accepts payment, sends reminder emails, follow up, all this other stuff. And, you wake up, you have appointments on your calendar. That's what we're talking about, people. Okay, let us actually pivot, though. I want to talk about something that we chatted briefly about in your episode. It's something I talk about. Everybody always gives me the screw face. That's fine, because I feel the same way. And it actually goes into, season 2 of the podcast. We're going to be examining it with a little bit more depth and sensitivity. And that is dating abroad. Yes, dating abroad. The reason why I bring it up and the reason why I have screw face about it is that the questions I get, I think, are not actually what people mean. When people are like, how's dating in Spain? I heard Spanish men are lovers and Latin lovers. I'm like, no, European white men that speak Spanish. Like, I don't really understand where you're getting this. Like, I don't know where you're getting this. What I think the questions are deeper are really questions about desirability, right? Am I desirable in this space? Can I find partnership in this space? Which is individual. Like, I don't know what you mean by partnership for you.
I struggle with
right?
that.
Everybody is talking about partnership in a lot of different ways, so I don't know. They're talking about maybe safety, right? Am I going to be safe as a woman, as a person in this space, not be violated? Am I going to be in a space in which maybe I can tap into my feminine, whatever that means, and I can be soft or vulnerable? I think that's what people really mean. Because I'm like, you could date anywhere. Like, you can date anywhere, and you can date you can find scrubs and weirdos all around the world.
Everywhere.
It's
Everywhere.
not it's not exclusive to your home country. So my question to you, if you feel like sharing, is how has your experience being dating abroad? Do you feel like you are able to have a different kind of experience for yourself? Do you feel like you're able to maybe feel softer in the experience, or you're meeting more people that you feel are quality that could be potential partners? Like, what is your assessment of the situation?
So when I first got here, I met someone from the UK and fell madly in love. And then, of course, we broke up and went through a horrible breakup. And then, here we are now. So if desirability is a thing, anywhere you go, I mean, I feel like you'll be fine. Here's the thing. If you are a jerk in your current country, you won't be a jerk in another one. Like if you have certain issues, or you're closed off, or you don't want to meet people, you moving to another country does not change that. If you were a homebody in, let's say, for me, DC, which I was, I'm a homebody in Portugal too. Like, so some of the behaviors, you got to make sure that the behaviors you're doing, whether you're in wherever you are, the behaviors are allowing you to meet people. Like, back home, like me and my UPS dude, like we really knew each other. Other than that, like I didn't really, go out unless I strategically do that. Like a lot of people are doing, dating apps. And that's actually how I met my ex, was on a dating app. And so you can use various forms in technology as you can, even in the States. I actually I use, Tinder, but I preferred Tinder out of the country than I did in the States. I would use it just like any country I would go to. I would just, hang out and, meet people, and people were more likely to be open to meet someone versus, definitely trying to hook up, you know what I mean? So Tinder was always a good experience for me as I traveled. Now that I live here, I did try to get on there once. And then this guy was like, I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, ew, like, what is this? Ooh, this is creepy. You know what I mean? So got off of there immediately. So now my life is a little different, and I can't always, do things like that. But I would say I think the same thing is standard when it comes to kind of making friends in general. Like, you go and you do things that you enjoy, and then you happen to meet other people, and then that other person, brings friends, because it's a very social situation. When you go out to dinner, it's usually with a bunch of people, and they'll bring their friends, and so you can definitely be more social. But I will say, if you are moving abroad just for the purpose of finding a partner, that might be a little weird. It might be, you need bigger things. And we just went live last week, and someone asked this, and one was like, can I find, a partner for my, young, kids? They were like in their 30s. And I'm like, well, I don't know. First of all, it might be that you still calling them kids is one of the issues as to why they can't find. Anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's the same, no matter where you go. Just work on being a good person and have other reasons for you leaving. Like, I know with the frustration, even in the States, people are leaving because they're like, I'm just tired of the racist American. I'm like, I get it, but that can't be your only reason for leaving. Like, you need some other reasons to leave a whole country for trying to find a spouse, or trying to, get away from racism, or trying to, just have a bunch of reasons, so that if one of those reasons falters a bit or didn't go the way you planned, and now you in this, tizzy trying to figure out what to do with your life.
Yes. I hope people really take that in. Take that in into your soul, let it marinate. And if for some reason you feel, I mean, look, partnership, companionship is amazing. Like if that's a priority for you, for sure. But um there has to be other things for sure. There has to be other things. And if it's not working out for you stateside, um, there's no guarantee that just leaving, moving geographic location is going to solve that. So maybe, see a therapist. We all got work to do. We all got baggage. I got baggage. That's
Yeah.
what I talked to my therapist about,
Yeah.
baggage.
Yeah.
We all got stuff to work through so that if that is important to you, you can clear out any kind of stuff that you have. You can, assess, discern a quality partner for yourself, regardless of where you are around the world, because it's not just going to be, I don't know, all the Portuguese men are A1 and treat everyone like queens. I don't know, but like,
Any country who that's a thing. I mean, when you think about your question, think about what you're asking. Is a whole culture of men. They're still men. Like, you know what I mean? Like they still want to have sex, and some's motivation is different than others. Like they're still men, regardless of, where they come from. Culturally, things may be a little different. I will say, here the caliber of men may be different just because of everyone's going to speak 2 to 3 languages. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty much a given. You and your American self may be the only one who's struggling with your your language. So and then experiencing other cultures and being freer. And so some things are just going to be culturally different, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee a partner. But I would say if you move out the country to be your authentic self, that is the point where you can potentially attract what you're supposed to at the moment, in my opinion. I mean, I'm having a good time. But ultimately, I've been able to be my authentic self, and I don't have to stress over, like, clients work, shove the food down, so I'm able to just, come out and do dinner for 3 hours. I don't feel like I would have done that before. I'd be like, oh, I got to get ready to go to bed. So you want to like, so you are different. And when you are different and you can be more open, honestly, that is the time when a partner should come to you. Like if you still, and if you still got your baggage and your stuff, it, whether you ain't got to say it on the podcast, but you had them conversations with yourself. And so think about it. Like, are you the best person you should be right now for a partner to even come to you? Or would they not like you after 6 months?
that's the thing. Do you even like yourself? And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. And not liking yourself, I think, is like it's a season that everybody goes through where you're like, I don't really F with myself right now because of X, Y, and Z. Getting to know yourself, getting back in alignment with whatever your core values are, discovering those things, really catering to yourself, what you need. Um, Maybe you've been a person who's been all about your partner, really giving that to yourself, coming into that, and then moving and being and whatever, dating in that space is a lot different. But, dating isn't a band aid for whatever it is that you're looking for. Codependent kind of behavior, whatever. Like it's not going to fulfill you, especially if you're dating men. Goodness. Yes. You know, it's a time. I was telling my friend, I'm like, I am begrudgingly a heterosexual woman. It's just like, because these men be like, okay. All right. So as we wrap up, I want to talk about maybe how your wellness practice has changed. Have you added anything to it? Have you been more, I don't know, given more time to it? Anything like that?
I encourage myself to drop everything if I want to. And that kind of relates to, earlier when we talked about my friend. And if someone calls me and says, all right, we're going here, are you going? I'd be like, okay, like I got a hot spot so that I won't lose my life and just like completely lose it. But even when I would go to the beach, I'm like, okay, I gotta get my hot spot just in case I got, you know what I mean? So I'm baby steps, but I'll still make those, I try to commit to those things, especially if it's some people like in my inner circle where, you know, they'll ask me what I'm doing, or they're in the city or over here. I'm like, we're gonna make it happen. Nobody's gonna die. Like, I'm in marketing. No, there's never a marketing emergency. It's like no one's calm down. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not in the type of field where it's like that. And even though sadly I still work 12 to 14 hours a day, I feel good about it because I'm toxic now. That is a baby reason why I still feel good about it. But two, I can still have my life, like, because most of my clients are, you know, in the US, so they don't really get up to my 12 p.m. Life. So I can go for a walk in the morning. I can go get groceries. I could do laundry. I can concentrate on me and not be exhausted, and then work with my clients, or and just break my day up. Like, if I want to go to the beach, I can. And then, you know what I mean? It's just, it's so much more flexible. And I feel like that is help me get the life balance that I need, because I'm not always rushing and scheduling and doing this and doing that. And so it's allowed me to be much more creative for my clients. And I can go and stare at some waves for 4 hours and just be like, you know, and do that. And then I come back like, you know what I should do for Christine? She needs this, you know what I mean? And so we don't have that time to be that creative when it's so much just asking for your time, whether it be your commute, whether it be shoveling food down your throat for lunch, or, you know, hurry up and making all these deadlines, doing play dates. Like, no, when I grew up, like, kids just played. Now you got to schedule time for them to play with other people, and you got to be there. Like, who the hell, like, how you got time?
How do you manage a whole little child's social calendar, extracurriculars, and then you have a job and you got stuff? I don't understand.
I don't know
But
how they
God
do
bless.
it.
God
I don't
bless
know how they do
everybody.
it. And they was like, what do we do with kids? I don't know what you do with them in the US. I have no idea what you're doing in Portugal. So I got nothing. I got nothing.
I don't know about that. Kintia, do you have any questions as we wrap up our time?
Mm-hmm. So with your wellness cinnamon, you said you made the adjustments in your schedule. How have your clients responded to those adjustments that you've made?
Um, that's a good question. So, and this is going to relate to building your brand as well. My corporate brand, I did it for the industry I work in. So I had to really have a come to Jesus moment with myself, probably early last year, because I wanted to start charging my clients in euros, right? Because I live in Europe. And the euro is worth more than the USD. And I could potentially just, you know, raise my prices a certain percentage. But the problem with currency is it changes daily. So I could always end up being in a bad situation. Now, I told my clients and they were like, well, what is that in conversion? I'm like, it's going to change. And but I know what I give to them. You know what I mean? Like, go find her. And for the two did leave me and they right back in my face, but now I don't have room to accept them now. So damn, what was the question that you asked? What was the specific question? How do my clients feel about it? Right? How my clients feel about it? They adjusted. They adjusted because they get what they get when they supposed to get it. And as much as clients feel like they need to talk to you, they don't. If you make a deadline to provide this service and you give it to them on that deadline, you're fine. It will be an adjustment, as it will be adjustment for your family and everybody else who's used to working with you or seeing you or whatever. People gonna have to adjust. If this is a life you're saying you want to create, even if you lose some clients, if you're good at what you do, just work on being super good at what you do, because you can't have this flexibility if you ain't good. You know, it's going to be a lot harder to negotiate that. But, communicate with your clients. This is what it's going to be. This is what the euros are. If you feel some kind of way about it, because I was like, what if they don't feel like I'm giving them, enough value or whatever. And so I switched my pricing model to value-based pricing years ago. And so if I know I bring in this amount of money for you based on what I do, I'm either taking a percentage of it or you're going to pay me a lot. Because if I drop everything right now, you ain't making this money. I run all their digital stuff. I make everything go back to properties that I own. So if you stop paying me, I shut the whole thing down, and I might contact your competitor and put them in your place. All my people know that. So with that being said, if you give people a good product, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. Don't worry about that part yet, because if people want you, they'll adjust. And that's why the personal brand or a brand period, whether you're going to do a personal brand or a corporate brand, is so important to build, because when you don't have it, you are stuck trying to go after jobs, and they say what price they want to set and how much time and all this other stuff. But when you build your brand, they come to you and they just have to do what the hell you told them to do to work with you. They have to. Or don't work with me, good night. But if you haven't built that brand, you can't have that level of negotiation. That's why I keep telling people it's super, super, super important to do that, even if you're an introvert, okay? Because like I said, you only need 20 people. You only need 50 people to give you $20. That's your first 1,000. And if you want to scale that, it's just a matter of getting more people or increasing your rate. If you want that monthly, same thing. And so figuring out, and for anyone who's listening, if it makes it easy, figure out what your first $20 product is. If you're an entrepreneur and you haven't done this yet, figure out what your first $20 product is. If it's, consulting, hope it's not, but it could be, but that's scary if you only consult for $20. If it's a quick workshop, my favorite are workshops. Love, 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 love workshops, because they're super easy to put together. If you have the scheduling software that we talked about, I literally just taught this class 2 weeks ago. Connect your scheduling software, they accept payment, do a workshop, see what you can help your client get in the hour to 90 minutes. If you are educated in your field, you should be able to give them a win in an hour. If you can't give your client a win in an hour, you need to really question what you're doing. If you can't provide value for, then and that you don't have to get all stressed doing this whole workshop or this whole website. You ain't even got to have a website. You have your calendar software that's no more than $14. You schedule what your workshop, your class, your master class is, invite people, market that, invite people. Even if you got 3 people, you better give them the best hour of their life. Don't worry about that big audience yet. If you got 2 people show up, you give them the best hour that they would walk away knowing something, because what you were doing, you were planting the seeds for your foundation. Foundation don't just come with hundreds of people in your class on day one. It doesn't. And then a whole bunch of things will go wrong. Tech may not work, or you thought you would have done this. So don't you want to figure that out on a small audience first? Do you want to show your ass on a large audience? No. So start right now. And so what we know about this, what this pandemic has done is you basically lost 2 years of your life, and you may not have nothing to show for it. Okay. Woo. We have to be super, super, intentional about this 2022, whether it's learning a new skill, starting that business, mending relationships, whatever it is. And the question that I get often is like, well, weren't you scared? I am terrified every time I do something. Terrified. I'm just defaulted to keep walking in the fear. And I unfortunately, and I'm also ADD and a whole bunch of other acronyms behind my name. So I don't necessarily feel certain emotions like other people do. So when someone tells me like they're having, sabotage this and that, like I can't all the way identify, because even if I feel something, I'm gonna go with it anyway. And so what you need to do is change your default to walking in fear. Even if you feel uncomfortable, do it anyway. You can't be a perfectionist because it's something you've never done. That's not a thing. You can't be perfect at something you've never done. That's really literally not a thing. So if you never started, you can't even get better at it. So do your brain dump, get all the things. If you haven't, talked to a person and it's been in your head, like, have you talked to such and such? Write it down. Make the steps to contact this person, because that's probably your intuition saying you need to check in and you got so much other stuff going on. So do a brain dump. 2022, do a brain dump, get it out of your head. Are you taking care of yourself the way that if you loved yourself, you would do that? Are you eating right? All of these things, put it on paper and then add some time frames to that. Which one can I accomplish in a month to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months, 6 months to a year? And schedule it. Whatever you use to schedule it, take the time. It's not enough to just put it on paper and make your cute little vision board. You actually have to put it in your calendar and schedule it. Okay, on Thursday at 9 a.m., I'm going to spend 2 hours learning this software to how to, whatever it is. But you got to do it. So let's be intentional. 2022, even if this pandemic goes crazy, you want to come out. Like, how dope is it to say you learned a new skill, or you attracted more people, or you did whatever, you mended a relationship? Don't listen, them last 2 years, we ain't going out like that no more.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We have come to the end of our time. So please tell everyone where they can find you, Cinnamon.
You can go to drivenspice.com. You can go to my Instagram, same handle on YouTube. So just search Google or YouTube or Instagram for Driven Spice and you will find me. My website is easier for me to communicate on email, and some of the other ones I might be a little slow. I am better with YouTube comments than I am with Instagram, but yeah, so there it is.
All right. Thank you so much, Cinnamon, for being the inaugural guest in this, catching up with series. This has been so, so lovely. I've enjoyed it so much.
Thank
If
you.
all of you have enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Let me know within the community. It is discussion. This kind of content I'm bringing to you because you guys have asked for this content. You guys have tried to get me to give you people's emails. So I'm not going to do that. But this is how we can get to know all the other past podcast guests. Okay. So
Absolutely.
let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.
It was a pleasure.